Hello, hello, hello. So today, it's a episode, if you like, that I'm really excited for. Hey guys, those of you joining in, hello, hello. So, really excited for this one today. I'm going to introduce the person in just a second. So this is part of our lockdown series, as I've explained before, that we're converting and kind of transitioning into a podcast that we're going to release called The Human. And it's one of the episodes I'm going to put on that because it's someone that I've been wanting to interview for a while. So, the essence really of this podcast is about being human. So the podcast is called The Human. And my motivation for it really is the fact that, as I've said before, we are, going off on tangents in life that are healthy. I believe that we're multi-purpose beings. We're not just a practitioner, a doctor, a mum, a dad. We're multiple things, whether it be a friend, whether it be a sister, a parent, what we do vocationally, some people spiritually too. So we're multi-purpose beings, but because of things we get inspired by, motivated to do, ulterior motives, we go off on tangents, and sometimes we have automated unconscious habits which are sometimes really good for us, and it's where we create a lot of our successes, but also it can be a lot of our downfalls and what some psychologists call our dark shadow, and that leads us astray. And just like, I live in Jersey in the Channel Islands, and so for me, I love traveling, but every time I come back to Jersey, it's like I reground myself again, so it's returning home. And so what I wanted the podcast to be about is an opportunity for people to learn, understand more about different areas in life, mental, financial, vocational, health, physical, spiritual, etc. And to have some great speakers and people on that I know and that don't know, so that we can reground ourselves in what it means to truly be human, and hopefully that can inspire people to take time to do it out, so that whilst you're going off on your tangent in whatever purpose you are, you can return home again too. So this week's one, I wanted to go into nutrition. I don't know about you, but I think I've been both the angel and the devil throughout lockdown with nutrition. After giving some friends a lot of flack about non-alcoholic beers, I've actually got into them a few times, as my incredible fiancée Georgina's breastfeeding at the moment, so sometimes if we're driving around, I'll have one or two of those. But that can sometimes be a bad habit too, still with the various things in it. And, there's a number of things that we have. And one of my favourite nutritionists and people which I enjoy talking to about this is Mandy Bonhomme, who's also based over here in Jersey. So I'm going to bring Mandy on in just a second. And Mandy's background, I'm going to let her explain a little bit more about her background and how she got to having an incredible knowledge that she does today. She, as I said, she's one of my favorite practitioners, and through her multifaceted journey as a personal trainer, nutritional therapist, is that she ended up going down the rabbit hole on gut health, which, as I'm sure quite a few of you know, and some of you may not know, is one of our key pillars and foundations of our health, for our brain, for our microbiome, for our virome, and for our nervous system to actually function and coordinate itself properly. And Mandy teaches this really beautifully through the work that she does. And so this call is going to be packed full of information. She also isn't perfect herself, and I know that she's going out to have a fun lunch with a distance lunch with a couple of friends afterwards. So, and I'm sure she'll enjoy herself with a treat. But Mandy always gives 100% loads of value. So if you bear with me just now, I'll bring her on. There we go. I'm sitting here with my coffee, with some mushrooms in, actually, if anyone takes mushroom tinctures. Shiitake. So hopefully I can ask Mandy a little bit about that apparently have an immunosupportive effect too. Here she is.
I'll turn this down. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi everyone, I'm good, thank you. That's better. Yeah, good. Hi Tom, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Pleasure.
I just started doing a bit of an intro, and as I'm talking about it, whilst I know quite a bit about your journey, actually there's so many questions I would want to ask you about it. And so can you introduce yourself a little bit, Mandy?
Okay. Hi guys. What were you going to say, Tom?
I was going to say, so just tell us about, you've, as I said in the intro, you've got an incredible knowledge base and I believe qualification. How did you get to having that to where you are today?
Okay, so at school I seemed to I was the only person that I think, some of my friends might say differently, who actually always thought I knew what I wanted to do. So we never even discussed, like everyone went to careers like meetings and stuff like that. I never did. I was going to be the PE teacher. I was like Miss Sport from day one. Spent my whole life in my tracksuit, which I still do, as you well know. So I never really questioned that. I ended up going to university. I studied sports science, but I always loved nutrition. It was like always there. My own nutrition. My mom was a massive influence in my life. She like took amazing care of herself. We always had BBC Good Food Guides and magazines, recipe books, like everywhere. So I was forever like had my nose in those. And then obviously you're trying to keep slim yourself. You like learn everything about that. But at uni, I was a bit like, okay, yeah, I'm not sure I want to teach kids now, even though everything had led me that way. So I came back. I kind of went into a job because I didn't really know what to do, but in sport. And then started running weight management programs up at Fort Region.
Yeah.
And setting up Body Pump, Body Attack, some of the classes there. And I kind of like, I obviously put my heart and soul into those programs and loved them. People got good results, but the results never stuck. So kind of like that was really like an eye-opener to me. And now my understanding is it's nothing to do with the person's willpower. It's not because they're not trying. It's because we had never like changed their internal environment. You know, we'd never got to that gut level.
Yeah.
But I never understood that in my 20s. You know, now 48, it's like been a long journey.
Yeah.
So I then was like, okay, I need to go further. I'd done some nutrition courses anyway, quite a few like small ones. Okay. Loved it and could not get enough. And then I was like, right, I'm going to take the plunge. So I went part-time, started studying nutritional therapy, took 3 years to do that. And literally by the time I finished, I'd started specializing in digestive health, and it had like won my soul. Like I just loved it. Do you know what I mean?
Really inspired you.
Yeah, it really inspired me. And then, you know, on the journey, there was a couple of people who really inspired me. I used to go to Loughborough University every year for fitness conventions, but they had a lot of nutrition speakers. And I'll never forget, you know, a lot of nutrition people at the time had a certain look about them. Sorry, anyone, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I obviously looked like an advert for Nike Town. I never looked like that. But this woman came and stood up, and she looked like, you know, corporate, which she wasn't. She like was power dressing. She looked so different. She was like a very beautiful lady as well. So she really like stuck out. And this was the message that she delivered that day, like literally changed everything for me. So she was saying about, you know, if we're churning out the cut down on sugar, eat your 5 a day, drink more water messages, they're so boring. And she was so like powerful about it. She said, we need to put some sexiness back into nutrition. And it stuck with me. You know, it's not about you being sexy. It's about delivering the message in a way that can literally switch a light on in people, and they can start to get excited about the subject. And that's what I strive to do. And she was like a massive influence in that, really.
Nice. So was there anyone else or any, because you're probably one of the most passionate and inspired people I've heard teach, and you are actually a brilliant teacher when you have many people in the room. What's your fire? Is there an event or something that's happened in your life that really kind of triggered that for you? Or was it just the multi kind of faceted, or like the pyramid approach of just continuously getting inspired that built up?
I think it's I feel inspired when I go to listen to people, and I've done so many courses and been to so many conventions for fitness and nutrition over the years. And you know, I'm nearly crying sometimes in these things. Like literally, they touch me so deeply. So I just feel that it's always been a build up of those things, and I want people to feel like literally that they can move mountains when they come out of my classes. You know, that they feel they're empowered enough to do that.
Yeah.
Another guy, I don't know if you know him. We've probably never discussed him before. Paul Check.
Yeah, we have a number of times, because remember that when we first met as well. You know, I actually started doing some personal training with you, and one thing I loved was
yes,
like I'd done a lot of rehabilitation with professionally teaching it to people, as well as actually doing it for my body and injuries and surgeries I'd had. And you were the only person I'd found from a personal training point of view that really took a specific and functional approach that I appreciated then. So you often talked about him then.
Yeah, because he the reason why he inspired me so much, so I saw him for a number of years at conventions, and then I went and did 10 days with him at Eastbourne Tennis Centre, and he basically shattered every single thing I'd learned in the textbook at university. And I studied hard, so I knew the information. I could regurgitate it. And he, even down to the point, he was like, the hamstrings don't work like that. If you lay someone on a table, on a massage couch, and you move their leg, yes, it does do that. But if you actually walk, that the hamstring is not doing that. So down to the most fundamental kind of things that I took as gospel, he smashed them. And he made me think outside the box. And I think that he was pivotal in how I kind of viewed nutrition. He basically was saying to me, like, you know, he introduced me into like gluten, a lot of the toxins that come into food, how gluten will like cause kind of excess like leaking at the capillary beds. I mean, this is 20 years ago. People weren't talking about this then. He really opened my eyes, and I think he helped me, like, you know, I like to think out the box. I like to really kind of pull in and just use what is needed for the person. And he was definitely instrumental in helping me.
In keeping you focused on that.
Yeah.
No, and you know, because you also haven't had a conventional way to getting to where you are. You know, I know it's something we've talked about a number of times. You know, it's like, for me, vocationally, to do what I need to do and lay hands on people, obviously I need to have a license. A lot of people think that, you know, I may be like one of those Indian guys on YouTube with a hammer that pulls people. But in reality, you know, you do have to have 5 years, you know, in a doctor of chiropractic degree and stuff. But, you know, the field in nutrition, there's many people that don't. You know, you have range from people that have no qualifications through to people that have PhDs. And I know when we've discussed it, you know, you picked up a bit of bad flack with a couple of people that have said, oh, you know, you haven't got a PhD or you haven't got a master's. And, you know, but you're probably one of the most knowledgeable and well-read people I know on this area. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
I find it really interesting. So when I was younger, and obviously a little bit, you lack a little bit of confidence. You know, if there was ever something I didn't know, like ever, and obviously we don't know everything, I would literally be quite hard on myself, thinking I need to go to do a master's qualification. You know, there's bits missing. Although I had a massive breadth of knowledge and everything I needed to kind of get the results with my clients, but you still were critical. But now, you know, it's not really about that for me, because also, you know, I'm not dissing anything about masters. They're fantastic for those people, but they're very like guided in a certain way. You know, the textbooks are led in a certain way, and actually probably that doesn't even suit my knowledge base. Like, I like to pick and draw from so many different areas.
And you know what, I can completely agree with you with that, because my background, my basic education is a master's program that we have to do first. And, you know, and you graduate that's your driving license. You know, it sounds like a decent education, and even people I know that got a PhD, but when you finish that, you're extremely qualified in the stuff that you know. There's a lot of stuff that you don't know, and you also don't know how to fully apply the stuff you know to get the maximal potential out of results. And something I know that you get is extremely good results. And I may not be the best, you know, display of that, because I have done your program a couple of times. It's transformed. You know, I grew up having my family always say, if there's one chocolate cake at the dinner table and it disappears, that's because of me. Okay, so I am known for that. And, you know, I've tried to convert my taste buds onto healthier forms of sugar over the time, but it's definitely my downfall. And that's something which your programs helped me a lot with too, was I love cooking. So expanding on different recipes and quick ways to actually get that. But just going back onto that point and topic we're talking about, you know, my opinion on it too is the fact that at the end of the day, master's programs, PhDs, higher educational stuff came after applied scientific thinking and approaches. You know, the reason why we're here is because of foundational fathers like Hippocrates. He didn't have a PhD. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So, and it's the same with research, you know, the evidence-based model. I'm big on evidence-based model and using it, but what people, I think sometimes, and the public need to know this too, is applied research and scientific knowledge, critical thinking and clinical experience comes before the application of research. If a research study comes out saying something, that's not gospel truth. We often find out 5 years later it's something else. But that's the journey is this blend of using different things together. So anyways, that's my
Yeah, I feel really like, I mean, the way that I view my own knowledge is that it's like a massive jigsaw puzzle. And, you know, I've got a lot of the pieces, a lot of the pieces are in place, but I mean, I'm constantly learning, you're constantly learning. You know, if someone is regurgitating the same information that they were teaching you 2-3 years ago, you know, then basically you shouldn't really be going to that person probably. I know it's a very generalistic comment, but you know, they should be up on the latest stuff. And it's not necessarily all just science, just broadening the knowledge. And that's what excites me, listening to all the podcasts, reading all the books that I do, because it's finding, you know quite a bit of it, but it's finding that one gem in there, that one piece of your puzzle that, you know, and it makes all of the surrounding pieces make much more sense. Even though you understood them before, you can deliver it. That's what excites me. I can deliver it and teach it in a way that it will really resonate with people and stay there. You know, it's not just me like churning out information. It's like getting inside the brain, getting it, you know, them to feel that.
Yeah. And you do, like, you know, when you've done the courses and you've done different places, when you've done them up here at the practice here at Human Health, you know, I know that the people leave here very empowered. A lot of our clients cross over. And I know that people that have come to 2 years afterwards are still doing the same work, and it's transformed not just them, but their whole family's habits and their digestive health and things. At the end of the day, it comes down to one thing I would always say to patients of mine and people I know is you've got to do your own due diligence. And you know, my big message to people through this podcast that we're doing now, The Human, and also the work we do at Human Health is, in the past, people have always gone to, let's say, their medical doctor, their practitioner, whoever they trust in their health, and just believed everything they've seen. If you walk into your doctor's office or your dentist, you assume that they know everything, and anything they do on you is going to be close to perfect, right? But the truth is that's not the case. Everyone has flaws. There's good practitioners, there's bad practitioners, etc. There's so much diversity, and there's different people to different things. And people need to know that you need to choose your practitioner in the way that suits you. And you can change practitioners, but you should connect to someone for different things. So what advice would you give to someone, Mandy, when they're looking to work with a practitioner? How can someone look towards choosing someone?
I think the most important thing for me is that someone has a flexible approach. Okay, so I mean, first of all, you have to connect on a level with a person, because health is your greatest asset. It's your most important asset. And if you are handing it over and putting it in someone else's hands, you know, you have to have trust. You need to really have a connection with that person first, you know, and then you're going to be going on a journey with that person. So it's so important that firstly that connection is there. But I think, you know, really finding out that they have a large toolbox of tools, and again, not necessarily qualifications, but it could be qualifications for you. That could be the important bit for you. Obviously, you have to be qualified, but and then you want them to be able to kind of draw on a whole range of kind of different tools to help you get to where you want to go. So we always say this, and it sounds a bit of like a corny phrase, but one size does not fit all in the nutrition world. You know, you may go to your personal trainer and they might get you to count macros. Okay, so that's counting, you know, the calories from carbohydrate, protein, fat, and that will help you lose weight. Do you know what I mean? But if you come to me, you won't be counting anything, because I think life's way too short to be counting, you know, calories. And that's not criticizing the personal trainer. Both kind of approaches will probably allow you to lose weight, but you just need to find what, you know, do you need to count? Are you that person that will like, that's going to work for you? You know, my friend Jennifer Moore, she sometimes has to go back to counting. She knows that I'm not into it. I'm like, don't waste your time, but it does work occasionally for her. So that's fine. So you need to find the person that is not going to be too dogmatic, that is like literally able to kind of be flexible and bring all different things kind of to your working relationship. And for me, a very, very important thing, and that's why I love you as a practitioner as well as my friend, is that you care, you know. A lot in the PT world, personal training world, we lost that personal. It was like, you know, churning people through to like earn the money. And I'm not criticizing people there, because actually you have to pay your rent, and the gyms were high. There's a lot of different aspects there, but you need to really get someone that they genuinely care about the outcome and about your journey. They're not just going to stick you on this protocol, shove you through, and then you see every other Tom, Dick and Harry doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
basically.
and I think transparency and authenticity is kind of obvious nowadays too. You know, I know in our world, whether you spend a minute with someone or 30 minutes, you feel whether or not someone, you know, cares about you and actually has, you know, actually kind of, yeah, is thinking about your future and not just the initial result now. So I think that's a really good point. But look, I'm conscious with time as well. I've got so many questions I want to ask you.
Far ahead.
I want to get as much value for people as too. And I want you to go off and enjoy your weekend too. So just teach us, people that don't know much about gut health right now and digestive health, give us a snapshot into the principles of digestive health that many people, you know, don't know, that we need to be understanding.
Okay, so the reason why I am, you know, I'm in love with this subject is because for me now, over all this 25 years of working in this industry, realize that it's the foundation of health. So we have this kind of collection of bacteria, viruses, not all bad, microbes that live within us, on our skin, in our nasal passages, in the vaginal canal, but they mainly reside in the colon, in the digestive tract. And they basically have the ability to switch genes on. They can do loads of jobs that protect your body. They have an intimate and symbiotic relationship, if they are in balance and in good health, with our immune systems. And we basically ignored them for decades, okay? And we've kind of come into this modern era, and there's some amazing stuff in this modern era, but we've lost all of that kind of like living in harmony with this inner ecosystem.
And
so
this, I'm really glad you started on this
point.
I'm really glad you started on this point, because right now I'm just picturing someone that doesn't know anything about the microbiome and having bacteria in your body, because it can be a shock, right? The first time you find that you've got more bacterial cells in your body than you do human cells. I'm just picturing someone necking some bleach or something. Don't, okay?
Yes.
It's completely natural to do.
So on a cell by cell basis, we're 90% microbial. So we have 10 times more sort of gut bacteria and these microbes than we do cells in our body, and we've just been ignoring them, you know.
And so what impact do people need to know that has on our diet and things? So your regular typical diet, let's take someone lives over here in Jersey, you know, probably, you know, has your average diet of a bunch of sugar, gluten, white bread, also eat some fresh, local, seasonal ingredients, maybe some local fish, or they're vegan, etc., loads of pulses that come from a good source. The typical kind of person that you would see starting on your digestive system, is that fair? What would you kind of say to that person that they need to be starting to look at? Is there 5 things that they can start thinking about right now?
Well, the most important thing I think to start with is, you know, because a lot of people go, you know, in January, we know we've all been there. You and I have been there many times before. Let's tune everything up. Let's let's kind of eliminate everything that we know has been making us feel bad. And we do feel better. Obviously you do feel better because you're cutting down on a lot of stuff, but we never do any internal healing. Okay. And that's the thing for me. So it's kind of, we need to reduce the pressure and stress that we're placing on that internal environment. And then I'll explain it a little bit more. And then kind of give it the food that it loves.
Yeah.
So
you
give
have
it a little bit,
don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you go through those for us, just to set some context with it too? Because the way that my brain works, for example, is that sticks in place if I'm trying to go through it.
So if I typically take someone on a digestive wellness journey, okay, we would follow something. It's very kind of like well known within the natural kind of therapies and, you know, nutritional therapy realm. So we would take people on a 4-hour program of gut restoration. So we would basically remove everything that might be irritating. So that's taking out your sugar, taking out the gluten, and we would teach people why they're taking that out. I'm not just telling you eliminate all this stuff.
Yeah, and the reality is, right, on that step, you know, and I'm saying this from experience too. Now, forgive me, okay?
Go on. Spit it out.
we're addicts. you know, I have done your program and I have completely cut out sugar for a period of time, but we'll just find other sources. You know, you might take away Lindt dark chocolate, right? I'll find honey. So,
yeah.
So anyway, so carry on taking us through that. But that's
so we would remove everything first, and the whole point there is to calm down the internal inflammation in the body. So we've had many discussions about inflammation. So inflammation is a key part of the healing process. So it's like super important. You know, when you bang your leg and all the immune cells rush there, it's important. It will help you heal and get better. Yeah. But if we have this constant inflammatory fire and we keep pouring gasoline on that fire, it's literally blazing in the body. It basically sets us up for disease, ill health, the headaches, the feeling crap. So basically, by removing stuff, we're trying to reduce inflammation in the body. We're trying to give the kind of any of the good guys that are still living in your gut, like a chance to breathe. They're like, okay, thank you. You've like taken the stress off. So first R, we do that. The second R, we kind of replace some of the digestive enzymes, which we can do naturally through food. So, you know, eating live food, eating green powders, papaya, pineapple are really rich in digestive enzymes. Okay. Although on my program, I often remove fruit from people, depending on what they're presenting.
With. Yeah. So you might load up, if they're high on sugars and you're reducing the fruit, you're going to load up those kind of like high prebiotic vegetables.
Exactly. So then we would repopulate. So I always use the analogy of like a pond. If you bought a new house in Jersey, you had a pond out the back. It was algae ridden and full of crap, and you know, and your friend came around and they bought you some beautiful koi carp, which are very expensive fish. You wouldn't just go and chuck the fish in the algae ridden pond and expect them to thrive. They might just about be able to live and survive.
Yep.
You would clear the algae, so we'd put some nutrients in there, like get the water prepared, and then we would put the fish in. So very similar with the gut. We would then put the bacteria or the probiotic rich vegetables and foods and a supplement into the gut. So
what are the key vegetables that people are missing? Because I think it's fair to say that, you know, most people probably have more fruit than veg. But what are the key go-tos that you would recommend for that people should be buying?
Well, basically, you just need to eat more vegetables. You know, I can't even think how to make that sexier today. I've been speaking about making them. Normally, I swear and just say eat more bloody vegetables. Yeah, Sorry if anyone's offended by that.
And that whole key thing of like local and organic as well.
Yeah.
You know, so the trademark sign next to it, next to it that's genetically modified.
Yeah. No. So, I mean, the main thing is, you know, we have access to that around, you know, we have an abundance of stuff on stalls at the side of the road. Like, just go to Fungi Delecti up in Trinity. You'll be blown away by the fresh vegetables. But basically, you might not know this, but your gut bacteria love the indigestible vegetable fibers that you're going to get in those types of foods. So your digestive system can't break them down. It will arrive virtually untouched into the colon. Your little bacteria will be going like, brilliant, they're feeding me. So that from that, they will feed themselves, produce energy, and then they can go and do the plethora of 1,000,001 jobs that they do, which will help your health and make you feel better.
So what are some of the key jobs that bacteria, viruses, and things that have a beneficial symbiotic effect in our colon and our gut health do for our, you know, brain function, for our well-being?
Okay, so firstly, they produce sealants, which they help repair. They do ongoing repair work on the gut wall. Okay, so all of the stuff we were speaking about, like gluten, sugar. You mentioned alcohol or non-alcoholic beers, but alcohol, medication, antibiotics can really inflame and aggravate and cause the gut wall to kind of develop tiny micro tears, which leads to more inflammation because food, no matter what type of food it is, could be goji berry, it could be acai powder, which is a kind of like really beneficial antioxidant rich powder, could be kale, but if it's not digested properly and it's going through at the wrong point through these little holes in the wall because we've aggravated it, basically then you're pumping, that's like throwing gasoline on your inflammatory fire.
Yeah.
But your gut bacteria produce sealants that can go and like repair that. They do ongoing repair.
So is
They
it fair
also,
to say that, you know, if people are thinking, God, what's an example of that? If someone's been ill, or if you've had a night out in the town, if you've eaten some foods that you know react to you, you know, particularly certain cheeses and things, but then you try and have a nutritious meal, you know, so if you've already, let's say, had some digestive dysfunction and things have been a little bit loose, and then you go and have that good, lovely salad filled with kale, and you're wondering why it's going straight through you, is that an example of it? How it's not actually slowing down the process and you're absorbing the
it's
nutrients?
not so much that it will come straight through you as in like transit time, so like a fast bowel movement. It's more the fact that it basically won't be digested properly, because you've got all this inflammation. So that like the whole system is kind of put on the back foot. And then
Yep.
if you've got these micro tears, food as it's traveling down the digestive tract, it's getting wafted down over your little finger-like projections. It can kind of like go in through the gaps in the wrong place. Now, a lot of people don't realize that 75 to 85% of your immune system, this is where it's at. It sits on the back side of your digestive system. It's protecting kind of all the stuff that comes in. If anything comes through that shouldn't be in there, any toxins, any kind of like chemicals, you don't want that in the bloodstream. So your immune system is really strong there. So that undigested food comes through, your immune system's like, right, it doesn't know that it's like, because it doesn't recognize it. It might be kale, but it's not broken down into kind of the smaller bits
Doesn't
it's
know good
recognized.
guy, bad guy, it's just going to move it through.
Yeah, and the problem nowadays as well that we've got to remember is that a lot of researchers believe that our immune system is overreactive already. So because of the way that we're living and that we're living in this kind of, I don't want to paint a bleak picture, but a toxic soup. You can't ignore, you know, the polar bears have got toxins in their body fat. So basically, you know, these toxins are coming in and the immune system's already on high alert, you know, because it's a bit confused. It doesn't recognize a lot of the stuff that is coming into the body. So it kind of might overreact. Okay, so the whole point of tuning up the digestive system and kind of removing those foods to give your body a chance and then replenishing it with fantastic food and kind of using, I do use a supplement to heal the gut wall. The whole point is that you become less reactive. Do you know what I mean? So that you should be able to tolerate food a lot more easily, you know, and eat a really diverse diet. God, you know me, I love my food. I do not want to have like dictated things that I can't eat for the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the whole point. It's to have freedom, but also knowledge that you know, okay, yeah, that food is not great with me. I may once in a while choose that as a poison, but I know what it's going to do. But I'm not going to hammer my body with that day in and day out and expect myself to function well.
Yeah. So where are we up to? So we got remove,
Replace.
replace,
We put the
replenish.
little gut bugs in,
Yeah.
repopulate, then we
Repopulate.
repair. That's
Okay.
where we repair.
So we just had a question come in, and by the way, anyone watching, feel free to put any questions in the comments or in the little question box down the bottom.
I can see
and
that,
I'll
Jake.
try and squeeze it out of Mandy before she's got to go. I'll let us know, okay? Because I know you've got to go at some point.
It's okay. I can throw my salad that I'm making together in 2 seconds.
So Jake's asked us, what's your feeling about bloating and candida overgrowth? And I know this is a controversial, you know, a lot of GPs I know would turn around and say, oh, there's no such thing as candida, or not there's no such thing, but, you know, it has no impact on the body in a negative sense, etc., or relevancy to your health. And then other people, it clearly does have an impact. And whether you want to be on someone's skins, visibly looking for medical diagnostic signs in their mouth, etc., or in their health and well-being. What do you think?
Yeah, candida's, you know, I remember the very first person I had who came to me, Debbie. We both know her. She wouldn't even mind me saying. She came and I looked at her form a long, long time ago, and she had every single thing literally in the symptom questionnaire. She had it severe. I couldn't believe it. I'd never ever seen a form with so much going on. So anxiety, depression, skin issues, itchy ears, bloating, all the digestive symptoms, everything was going on, like achy joints, tiredness, headaches, everything. You know, and then she also had the kind of really specific symptoms as well, you know, that go hand in hand with candida. So we kind of put her on a like low sugar program, worked on that, and literally within about, obviously it takes longer than 2 weeks to clear that from the system, but within 2 weeks I've never seen such a, even to date, I've never seen such a dramatic improvement.
And whilst everyone always wants quick results, right? Am I right in saying that initial inflammatory period showing up in the research is about 14 days?
Yes.
It's like a 2-week period, because I felt that difference in that time frame myself. And everyone always wants results. They're like, right, I've been eating vegetables and lean meat for 2 days now. Why hasn't my bloating stopped? And it's
I know.
that
It's,
needs to
you
change.
know, I mean, the quick, yeah, the results happen differently for everyone. But, you know, I've now taken a masses of, a lot of groups of 15 through. So now I can see kind of like as in a group what tends to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd say like about 12 people out of the 15 after about 2 weeks are feeling significantly better. The first thing actually, which surprised me initially, was better sleep. For most people, they begin to experience deeper sleep.
Yeah.
And obviously we shouldn't be surprised, because we are removing caffeine and we know how disruptive that can be and how caffeine will linger in the body. But sleep, you know, it's more the deepness of sleep which starts to happen. Then obviously the bloating and digestive kind of like benefits that people get from that. And then an upshot in energy, okay? But that for some people can take quite a while, because what I've learned as we go through is the body might be doing something different. It might need to go and do some extra liver work, where someone else, it might be burning fat quite quickly and they're shifting weight quite quickly.
Yeah.
You know, the body might prioritize. I mean, I don't know exactly, it's not scientific, but my feeling is that the body will just prioritize what that person needs. And that's why people experience those differences.
Yeah, for sure. I completely
And also,
agree with that. You know, we know about our genetics now too. And
yeah,
like, I've had my genetics testing, and we know that it's common out of the 7 pathways of liver genes for your body not to have them all. I'm missing one of them. And there's certain things, therefore, that my liver will detoxify and process well, and some things not. I know a couple of patients of mine and people that I've consulted with that have 2 pathways missing. Those people cannot have alcohol and toxins, even if they don't get enough stress. The ability of the liver to be able to actually function well, detoxify toxins they've got, it screws them, and they'll start to get headaches and symptoms. Does that connect to what you're saying?
Yeah, it's really. So one of our mutual clients, actually, who I now have worked with for about 5 years, you know, it was very interesting. So we did a lot of work initially. We did the gut, we then did the liver. We went through a lot of, programs, lots of benefits. A lot of the symptoms began to fall away. A lot of the inflammation went, but we still couldn't get to the nuts and bolts. They went then and did genetic testing and found that they also had, that detoxification, a reduced capacity for detoxification. So then we started going harder at the liver, like supporting it more, but the information we got from that was unbelievable, really, because we wouldn't have realized why we were kind of like stumbling a little bit. We now have cleared everything, but we hadn't at that point. Do you know what I mean?
And this is some of the problems
it just
with
enabled us to go in again, and we did the liver maybe 3 to 4 times. And actually, on about the 4th time, that's when the real magic. And I mean, we put in some fasting as well. So we were kind of challenging the body on that level as well. So I think it wasn't just that, but that kind of genetic information was so informative, do you know what I mean? And helped us like nail the results.
And you said there, time. Healing takes time, doesn't it? And having that extra information, I mean, the basis, our blueprint of our genetics and our diversity of why you're different to me and vice versa, that's where it is. And so there's, like you said, in nutrition, there's no one size fits all. If 10 people have bloating, they're not going to have bloating for the same reasons. And therefore, based on their genetics and how their genetics are going to handle or not handle things, you can't give them the same cure. Someone's asked a question here. What are your thoughts on diet and helping the autoimmune symptoms, for example, MS? Now, I know you've worked with a couple of people with MS too.
Yeah. So so with autoimmunity, I could not feel any more strongly that you need to start in the gut. I am not trying to drum up business. As Tom knows, this is not my way.
No.
So basically, if you have leaky gut, so we've touched on that before, the micro tears in the gut lining, basically you are firing up your immune system every time you eat, because undigested food or toxins are able to pass kind of peded into the bloodstream, which is going to just keep setting off your immune system. So basically, you need to heal that gut wall to calm down that inflammation. Yeah, we had a lady, Catherine, who came on. She had MS. She came on the course. Do you remember that, Tom?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so she came on. So she was fairly quiet as we went through the course, as in didn't say. We did kind of like a roundup each week, like this is how you've got on, and you know. So she always like, I'm feeling much better. My energy's coming through, but not really kind of saying. And then on the last session, I think I probably cried because it's probably one of the most amazing results we've ever got. And she basically said that all the tingling and pins and needles that she'd got had completely gone in 5 weeks, that she basically used to have to go to bed at the end of the day. So she used to have restless legs. I don't think it was restless legs. She just used to get this feeling in her legs and it was so uncomfortable. She had to go to bed to try and stop the feeling. And that had, I don't think it had gone like every single night of the week, but it had nearly gone. You know, it was unbelievable. So you cannot say that that will happen for every single person, but
No.
for me, it would definitely be a starting point.
Yeah.
A book I would recommend is something called The Immune System Recovery Plan by Susan Bloom, Blume. I think it's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
She has a gut protocol in there. She also does the liver. She looks at food as medicine. And then there's 4 aspects of it: gut, liver, stress, and food as medicine.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. Get that book if you
Friday that's answered that question. If you're still listening in, I'd definitely check that out. It's a fantastic book, and as Mandy said, the program she takes you through is brilliant in that too. And I think always coming back to that thing of autoimmune, automatic immune dysfunction. So the immune system's automatically, I mean, it's always talked about attacking itself. I don't think that's strictly accurate. We know that it's also just a hyperactivity.
Yeah.
On something. It's not necessarily this thing of our body suddenly turned against itself, because you may be having other invaders. Your immune system's 24/7 working and doing a fantastic, intelligent job for you. It's not that it's turned against you. And so obviously, if you improve your immune function, and if most of your immune system sits down in your gut health and your digestive health, that's a really important place to start.
Yeah.
And I can understand how it's a minefield for people when you don't understand that. And I think one of the things I always like to do with health is break it down and make it simpler. And when you think about it like that, of course, you know, there is not a direct cure for MS through that, but any autoimmune condition, the reason why I believe I've seen a lot of people, like the people we've described, improve is because of that.
There's 3 points, sorry, that I want to, if I can get them out whilst I remember them. There's I can't remember now. On Netflix, there's a guy who had MS. It's a documentary series, and he has information. He's from Canada. It's not the MS Society of Canada. It might come to me. It's absolutely amazing. He has he's halted his MS condition, and they have done it with so many different people, and they use diet, and they have all the information that you can get. So that would be first thing I'd look at.
Okay.
Second thing with any autoimmune, just for everyone, that I think is really important is, you know, that basically immunity, these markers that are kind of signaling that you're heading for autoimmune disease, they are in the blood for 5 to 10 years prior to any symptom coming out. Yeah. Now, this is not to depress you, but this is for you to realize that, for you to then recorrect the body and get it back. It is a journey, and it is not going to happen in 6-week period. It's really important that you are going to kind of like dedicate 6 months to kind of like really resetting the body. The book that I mentioned, the Immune System Recovery Plan, that lady had autoimmunity. She was a doctor, and she, I think she recovered from her condition. I can't remember the exact outcome. Yeah, anyway, so I mean, it's very specific. And the last thing, now if I can remember this, I knew I wouldn't remember the 3 things. Okay, I might come back to it.
So we'll tell you what, let us know. We're going to, if anyone wants to rewatch this or forward it on to anyone, you can always sign up to our newsletter on our website, humanhealthcenter.com, and go on and sign up to the Lighthouse. And we'll be pasting this video in a replay, and we can always put those suggestions on, Mandy, or on our Facebook page or something too. So just to finalize those different steps. So we removed.
We replaced.
Replaced.
So if your clients, so if people watching this think, you know, I'd like to do something, but I, you know, can't afford to come on a course, we're in lockdown, do you know what I mean? Like, so you just want to do something when you're there. So You can just remove the common triggers, okay? So the sugar lights up your brain like cocaine, right? Tom touched on it, it's addictive. Cutting down sugar, you know, it was never about fat. We were misled with that information. It was basically about sugar. Sugar is so harmful to the body. It's especially harmful to your immune system. It suppresses immune function once you've ingested sugar. You know, so if you're in contact with the virus in the period after you've ingested sugar, that is not like super cool. So cut down on sugar. Gluten is one. Have a look. You can look on the internet. Dairy is another one that it's good just to test. Take it out and see if your body functions better without it. Not everyone does. So we remove. So you could do that and eat loads of nourishing foods. Go to the stands at the side of the road. Buy the fresh vegetables. Buy the kind of organic stuff if you can get it. The organic shop is delivering. Clean up your diet. Second thing, we replace. So if you don't think you've got candida growth, Jake, I'm not recommending this necessarily for you, but for other people, maybe have a smoothie with some greens in. Greens, get a green powder. Pucker clean greens would be amazing. Stick in a little bit of papaya. That's quite difficult to get. Maybe some pineapple, including the core. Kiwi is amazing. Blend it up. Packed full of nature's digestive enzymes that will help you kind of break down your food and really kind of nourish your internal lining. You can buy a prebiotic, not prebiotic, you can a probiotic supplement.
Or a prebiotic, both.
Yeah, or you can just feed your guts. So they love radishes, they love asparagus, they love artichoke, they love green bananas. You might need to stick that in your smoothie. I don't think you want to be splashing peanut butter on top of that. They love lentils, they love garlic, they love onions, and they love leeks. Pack your diet with some of those in this kind of cleaning up process. That's going to feed the ones there, and it will help them kind of multiply, and then they'll be stronger and more powerful. And then repairing on a really simple level, make some bone broth, okay? Some people argue that the really key ingredients that are very nourishing for your body, that they don't necessarily just heal your gut wall, they'll heal other things and tissues in your body. That might be correct. It's still a super nourishing food, bone broth. You know, the guys might want to put a kind of like recipe on your thing. You could maybe do that. Yeah. Make that up from an organic chicken carcass, organic bones. Someone called Natalie Cummins, I think she's looking in the future to kind of be making some over here. And that will help you repair your gut wall, repair any damage in your body. And I think that's a really great place to start.
Okay, thanks so much. That's really, really useful. You know, what about just on the bone broth side, though? Just questions popped off my head. What about vegans, vegetarians? Is there an option for a recipe or something they can do for the same effect?
I probably would use a supplement then. So, okay. You know, you need to go and get something with L-glutamine in. Go and ask at the health food shop. You know, 100% health brands, I'm sure they'll like help you. Ask them, see what they've got. You want L-glutamine is an amino acid that serves as food for the cells that line your digestive tract. So even if you didn't have leaky gut, even if you didn't, and you're a small percentage, I'm not saying you've got chronic leaky gut, but that you haven't got any damage that needs repairing down there. So even if you haven't got any, it will still strengthen the cells and strengthen the lining.
It's not going to be harmful for you to use.
It's still going to like be beneficial for your body. Do you know what I mean? And it's not forever. You don't take that supplement forever. It's like 2 weeks.
Mandy, what are your top foods? So I'm just sitting here sipping on the end of my coffee, right? And I dropped some shiitake mushroom tincture in.
Oh, that was
I've
my
been
other
reading
thing
up
that I
on
was
it
going
and
to say.
using quite a bit. And, you know, I know it's a long, you know, it's been used for hundreds or if not thousands of years, different types of mushrooms. I've been trying to trial it with things in the morning to, you know, wake me or get my nervous system going, things to put me to bed at night. What's your thoughts on it?
You know.
You got it? Okay.
You want to see my cupboard of mushrooms. So you've touched on the other thing I couldn't remember about the immune system. And I will come. So, and it's directly linked to mushrooms. So what I just want to say that we need to like really remember about the immune system, not you know it, but for everyone else, is that we don't always need to be boosting or up-regulating the immune system, okay? So sometimes it's overactive, as in the case of the autoimmune. Sometimes it needs down-regulating. So we're always thinking like, boost it, shove this in, like let's get it working better. But sometimes we need to calm it. Yeah. So mushrooms are adaptogenic, okay? So this word means that if Tom had the coffee now, I had the coffee half an hour, this is one to make you sharper, okay, including cordyceps and chaga medicinal mushrooms. And basically, some of the mushroom have an innate intelligence, and they're adaptogenic, as in they would do something different in Tom's body to potentially what they'll do in my body. They have been shown to be hugely beneficial for the immune system, but they have the ability to up and down regulate the immune system. So they will come in, and if you need boosting, if you need supporting, or your immune system's a bit flat, they can do that. But they have the ability, if Tom's immune system is literally firing all cylinders, it's a little bit like that, they could bring him down and balance his immune system a little bit more. So I love medicinal mushrooms. In my Beyond the Gut course, which is another course I developed, we have a whole topic on medicinal mushrooms.
Okay, oh, I didn't know that. That's epic. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be sure to check that out and recommend that to people too. I think that's a really valuable point you've just made, by the way, about the immune system, because you're right. The whole conversation when you go on the immune system, isn't it? Wake up your immune system, boost your immune system. But it's true, you know, someone said to me the other day, we were talking about propolis, and it's something, you know, a family member of mine makes propolis raw, and we sell it here. It's something that, since I've been researching it, it's an incredible thing. So for those of you who don't know, propolis is the medicinal component within a beehive. The bees use to kind of seal, protect their honey, their nutrients and things in the hive. It's very naturally antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal and immunomodulating. And there's a lot of research to show that it does this extremely well. And although not COVID-19 specifically, it does actually have a great impact on coronaviruses too, reducing replication and infectivity. But someone said to me, they were like, I've been using propolis and I was loving it and stuff, but I started using it every night on my, you know, in my orally and stuff, and doing a couple of drops, which we wouldn't recommend doing too much. And I said, look, although it's a fantastic product, the problem is if you're using something that, let's say, has a great immune function too much, you're going to wake up the immune system in that area, and it may actually aggravate or create tissue inflammation. And as a result, they had some nerve sensitivity around their teeth. And I was like,
that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, cut that dosage in half and you'll probably see an effect.
But we haven't got time now to talk about it, but you know, I wanted to mention a little bit about kind of our over sanitized current situation, you know, and the fact that we're losing that kind of
I know you're tight on time. Can you do
it's
that
okay.
in a paragraph?
No, well, probably not, you know me, but anyway, well, I'll say it maybe in 2 paragraphs. So I just wanted to say, like, the reason that I've come on the back of you saying about what you've just said, propolis, is that I really feel that we need to take some of the kind of best bits of modern society, but also we need to blend them with some of those, like, kind of traditional, simple, practices, which we always did, which kept us disease-free and healthy for years and years and years. So, you know, we've become over-reliant on the medical, kind of like that model. And don't get me wrong, it's amazing. If we come off a motorbike, if you come, like, of course we need it. And those advances are absolutely fantastic. But kind of for our long-term health, you said it before, we need to become more self-reliant. You know, it's like a two-way process. It's not just the practitioner doing the work for you. You need to do the work. You use the practitioner or work with the practitioner to gain the knowledge, but then to go forth into the world with kind of like, you know, hopefully healed, but also with that continuation so that you don't need to go back and be re-healed again. But I wanted to say about the kind of like over-sanitized, like, you know, the advent of hand sanitizers, and I'm not talking about in this current situation, you know, and just kind of antibiotics, we kind of know now they've been overused. And you know, some leading scientists, one called Martin Blazer, he wrote a book called Missing Microbes, and he's saying, putting a lot of the ill health kind of down currently in our nation to the fact that we now lack diversity in our gut microbiome, in our skin, because of this sanitization. And I just really hope that people, after kind of get over this situation, that people are not still like literally cleaning every surface in their house to within an inch of its life, not being afraid to, you know, being afraid to get out and get in the dirt. You know, we need to be outside. We need to be doing these simple things that will really kind of, they're nature's immunizers. Like nature will immunize you. We don't need to rely on, you know, medical intervention. We have an amazing immune system. We just need to kind of like bring it back a step. That's what I feel.
Sure. I think a really good way of looking at this is that, you know, we have an innate intelligence in our body. The immune system is an intelligent organism. So if you think of your immune system as an organism as opposed to like a software program that just got put in you, if you think of it like a software program that just got in you, and you're going to think, well, I've got a low immune system and then it just fluctuates when I control it. But that's not the truth. The truth is that whilst you're thinking about the work that you're doing, who you're going to meet on Friday night, and whilst you're doing stuff over the weekend, your immune system is interacting with its environment through your internal biome, through your digestive system, and also through the biggest organ in our body, our skin and environment. You know, we're lucky in Jersey to have the beach and the water. Every time you walk on the beach barefooted, you're interacting with bacteria as well as going into the ocean. And there's a whole host of different bacteria, viruses, and things which have a complementary effect. So if you think of your immune system as being an organism, it uses this interaction with our environment to actually have it's almost a form of food for itself, which is that right? Like a conversation. And that gives our immune system life and health.
And also, you know, the fact that we're in, you know, we've been in isolation or in this like lockdown situation, like we haven't had that interaction, and that will have had an effect on our immune system, you know, because we're kind of reducing that like interaction. So, you know, getting out, don't be afraid to get out in your 6 hours. Get out. It's not just to get vitamin D.
Yeah.
You know,
don't just step outside your house. Start to touch the floor. Don't lick it. But start to re-interact with your environment as you come out of lockdown. Mandy, I'm going to stop you there because I know you need to go and enjoy your weekend and have a good time. How can people, you know, a couple of people have asked on the feed here, do you do courses and stuff? Yes, you do. How can people find out more about you and get help if they'd like to?
Okay, guys. So we hope you enjoyed that today. Nina, I'm saying hi to you as well. I saw Nina said hello. You didn't see that.
Hey, Nina.
So, guys, I run digestive wellness programs up in Human Health Chiropractic Center. So I will be running one, all being good. I definitely will be running one, whether it's online or in Tom's center, hopefully too, in September. So I have a website, www.bonhealth, I think it's bonhealth.co.uk. I'm also on Facebook, Bonhealth. If you look there, that's basically where you'll see. I run 5-week digestion programs.
I'm just thinking for people that aren't in Jersey, so anyone around the world that's listening in or listening to the podcast in the future, you know, if they just wanted to go and connect with you, maybe have a consultation or do a program if they wanted to, they go on your Facebook page and your website, and is there...
So on my website details everything I do. So it has all my different packages. I've started working with people for like 90-day programs rather than just doing one-off sessions. But if anyone is particularly interested in something, just ping me via my website, and let's have a chat.
A wealth of knowledge. Mandy, thanks so much for your time. Have a great weekend. Thanks everyone for listening from wherever you come into too. I hope you got loads of value from it. We're going to need to do a part 2. Yeah, I've got lists of questions like this in my head, and we've just kind of taken the top 10%.
Write them down there. We'll do a part 2. Thanks, Tom.
Cool. Take care. Cheers,
Bye, guys.